Welcome to Cam Look, your twice-weekly dose of the Cincinnati Art Museum. Every Tuesday and Thursday, a staff member or volunteer will share an object from the permanent collection and pose questions for discussion. Please check back at 10 a.m. for a new conversation and a new artwork. My name is Sue. I'm a volunteer docent at the Art Museum. As we approach Mardi Gras, or Fat Tuesday, I am reminded of the celebrations held in New Orleans, Louisiana. This, in turn, reminded me that the Cincinnati Art Museum is in possession of a print called A Cotton Office in New Orleans by the French Impressionist Edgar Degas. So, how did a French Impressionist make his way from Paris, France to New Orleans, Louisiana, and what prompted him to dedicate an entire painting to a cotton office? Well, let's dig in, shall we? Edgar Degas had family ties to New Orleans. His grandfather relocated from Haiti to New Orleans in the early 1800s. Degas' mother, Marie Celestine, was born in New Orleans in 1815. She left New Orleans as a young girl, moved to Paris, and later married in Paris and had a family of her own, including 5 children, the oldest of which was Edgar. Edgar studied art from a very early age and later studied at Paris's École des Beaux-Arts and met with marginal commercial success early in his career. At age 38, Degas traveled to New Orleans, where his brother René was now living, along with other extended members of the Degas family, including his uncle Michel Mousson, who owned a cotton firm and who Degas visited and subsequently painted. So let's take a deeper dive into this painting. This is both a family portrait and an example of the inner workings of a cotton office in the 1870s. Here we see a business full of men. Degas' uncle Michel Mousson is seated in the foreground, testing a sample of cotton for its quality. To his left is an empty chair full of cotton waiting for examination. René Degas, the youngest brother of Edgar, can be seen in the middle of the composition, seated and reading a newspaper. Another brother, Achille, leans against a window to the far left. The dress and positioning of the other men in the room might indicate what activity they are participating in. The office manager in the center of the room is encouraging a customer to sample the cotton. The man in the shirt sleeves is most likely a bookkeeper or cashier, and the man in the tan smock could be a clerk or someone who hauls the cotton bales into the room for the customer to view. Art historians have said that this painting shows the life cycle of cotton, from its raw form to its transition into a textile to its transport across the Atlantic, as hinted by the small steamship painting on the wall. This painting was met with mostly favorable reviews when it was shown at the Impressionist second exhibition in Paris in 1876. It was bought by the Musée des Beaux-Arts in the French city of Pau, and it was the only work of Degas to be purchased by a museum during his lifetime. I don't know about you, but I just love knowing that a well-established French Impressionist visited the United States and created at least one painting based on their visit here. In fact, there is an Edgar Degas historic home and museum operating in New Orleans today. On display, you will find a sketch of Degas' A Cotton Office in New Orleans to remind you of his family ties here. I hope you enjoy this Mardi Gras season, or as the French might say, laissez les bons temps rouler, let the good times roll.